when you're compositing. It's going to be more or less, it's very similar to what we were doing last week, but uh, when we're working with two images here, and maybe it'll be a little confusing at first, but I have my two images up here, and uh, you can use any of your transform tools. You can copy paste to get them together. You can use clone tool. You can use a lot of things to do it. Probably what I would do to start out, I can keep the two images separate, but it might be a little easier for me to just like drag one in to the other. You're going to find that they're not sized. They're not the same size. There's almost no chance they'll be the same size. And you want to work as large as possible. So you probably want to drag your internet found composite image, image for compositing onto your photo shoot image, which is going to be a lot larger. And I'm just going to move it in here, and then I'm going to try to use the clone tool to start to like mix my two images together. Once again, you always want to preserve your originals, and I'm going to plan to like paint with the lizard face onto my face. So I'm just going to go to the oh, thanks. I'm going to go, once I brought my lizard in, I'm going to go to my background image and duplicate it. And then I can play with this one as much as I want without worrying about compromising that background image. I'm going to go one step further, and when I use my clone stamp tool, I'm actually going to, instead of just painting the lizard onto my actual face, I'm going to do my cloning onto a third layer, just so I'm not even interacting with my face. So I know that's like maybe, hopefully that's not too crazy, but I already have 3 layers here. I'm going to go down to the bottom of my layers panel and make a new layer. There's a button that's just create a new layer, and I'm just going to put that on top. Now when I'm using my clone tool, it matters like what layer I'm actually clicked on. So I'm going to click on, you can choose up here to work through all layers if you want, and you might find that easier, play around. But sometimes I like to just stay on working only on the current layer just so I know where I'm at. You know, when you're using clone tool or any of these tools, whenever you actually draw, you're drawing onto the layer that's selected. So just be aware, things can go wrong quickly. Just take your time and save your Photoshop file frequently. You can even save as different Photoshop files when you advance a little further, because ultimately, like, at some point it'll happen that you make a mistake that you can't undo. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to sample from my I'm going to hold down Option, sample from my lizard here when I'm clicked on the lizard layer, and then I'm going to click on my blank layer and begin to draw my lizard skin. You know, I'm just going to do it really quick. Right now it's at 100%. Simple as that. And then I can choose my like a rate. I can actually choose to paint less than 100% with a lower opacity. Like I can paint and do like a nice blend. I want to see like really nice blends, really seamless kind of integrations between the image as much as possible, even if they're like gonzo, like kind of like really crazy interactions of images. I want to try to have a feeling that it's as realized, as seamlessly realized as possible. So now, see, I'm painting here, and I have my compositing happening, but I haven't messed around with my original images. I'm painting on a third layer, and I can then come in and sample from my face layer if I want to add some face back in there, and whoops, I sample from this layer, and then I just messed up, but that's okay. And then I can go back to my editing layer. We're going to talk about like non-destructive editing a little more in depth later in the class, but that didn't work out the way I wanted it. But for now, try to actually, try to actually be considerate about what layer you're editing on. Think about doing your clone stamping, drawing your imagery on a new layer. If it doesn't make much sense right now, don't worry about it too much. But like, say like my lizard right now, I wanted to add in an element with a clone stamp, but it's not like the right size. You'll find that things are not sized, don't translate properly via size differences. So I'll just resize it, clone stamp at the size I like, and then resize it again. I can keep, and I've just drawn it to the wrong layer. So I can keep, I can rotate my original, use your transform tools to do a little bit more powerful, compositing of the images together. It doesn't have to be a straight, one-to-one relationship between one image and the next. Use these transformations to kind of be creative with your compositing. There's also, I'll let that be enough for now, and we can talk about it one-on-one. But another thing I wanted to bring up now is another tool that I think might be helpful for this project, and this tool is the color replacement tool. I've talked to a few of you about it. Basically, it's a good tool for kind of creating this this transition between one image and the other, where you're not just painting with a color or just adding a level of transparency. But say I want to bring in a little bit of this orange into my skin tone, the orange of the lizard. I can actually choose that tool, which is under the paintbrush tool, and click on the color, my foreground color, and it'll open up this color sampler, and I'll actually have a color picker at my disposal, and I can pick any color within the image. And I've sampled myself out a nice orange. So now I'm actually going to well, let me actually get in some of my face first. I'm going to bring some of my face into my editing layer. This is a awful image right now, but it doesn't matter. So my face is in there a little bit. Get my nose back in there, and I want my I want to create a transition in the color of the skin, and in this color replacement tool, it actually it kind of just tones the image, and I can change the tolerance to make it less powerful or more. It just tones the kind of image that already exists without actually changing the volume or the data that's in the image. I don't know how play around with that. I'm not sure how helpful you'll find it. You may find it just more effective to use a clone stamp at a low opacity. You be the judge. But the color selection tool is helpful. You might also choose to use the blur, the sharpen, and the smudge tools, which are down here underneath the paint bucket, to create smoother transitions. Like the blur, some people use that for the last homework assignment. It just blurs the image really nicely. You can blur those transitions to make them smoother. The sharpen, does what it obviously says that it does. And the smudge tool, which we didn't go over, the smudge tool can actually just sort of smush things together. Whoops, I'm on the wrong layer now. So you don't want that really at full strength, but if you turn down the strength a little, you can just blend things a little more smoothly. It's a really nice kind of just blending tool, right? Ooh. So don't go too gaga over the smudge tool, but I don't know. When I was first using Photoshop, I was all about the smudge tool. You can make everything kind of mush together beautifully. So those are some tools at your disposal. You also have, I also would like you to experiment with balancing the colors of the different images so that they appear to fit together. Once again, experiment with the hue and saturation controls, the color balance controls, and the brightness and contrast. And that's all I'll say for now. It's going to introduce another element today, but I don't think we really need it. Do we have any questions about, is there anything you want to do that you're not finding a way to do? that you'd like to announce publicly? Okay.
So